Welcome back to the Gourmet Pantry. Today we're going to be having a look at a sourdough starter. Making bread with a sourdough starter is one of the oldest and purest forms of making bread. However, it rather lost favour in modern times due to easy, quick yeasts you buy from the supermarket. So easy to make bread with, but you seem to lose that beautiful flavour from having our own sourdough culture. So I'm going to show you how to make a really easy sourdough starter that you can keep for the rest of your life and will help you make some of the tastiest bread you have ever experienced, all made in your very own home. A starter is very simple. It's just flour and water. And the wild yeasts that are present in flour, as long as it's not bleached flour or treated flour, reactivate with the water and start respiring and reproducing and bubbling away. And that is what your sourdough starter or mother is made of. To start off with, all we're going to do is grab ourselves a bowl and something you can mix with. A little bit of flour, maybe a tablespoon or two, into the bowl. Put a bit of water in and mix it together to create a bit of a paste. A little bit thicker than pancake mix and a little bit thinner than cake mix. And there is our paste. It is as simple as that. If you can do that, you can make a starter. So all we're going to do now is we're going to cover this and we're going to leave it alone for 24 hours until 24 hours later. It's going to look a little bit more like this. As you can see from the top, there are a few surface bubbles, indicating that there's a little bit of respiration of the yeast going on, but nothing like as much as we want. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit more flour and a little bit more water. Aim for the same consistency you had before. Basically, what we're doing is giving the yeast that's already starting to develop a bit more of a feed. And again, now we're back to similar consistency. Put that to one side and leave for 24 hours. After another 24 hours, you're going to end up with this. As you can see, there are clearly more bubbles over the top, and it's a much more active mix. The yeast is really starting to get going. And if you give it a sniff, you're starting to detect some of that sour flavour, which gives our sourdough bread its name. All we're going to do, yet again, is give this another feed, a little bit of flour, a little bit of water, and give it a mix. Again, same consistency. And now's about the time we can put this into our very own sourdough bottle. This is what I use. It's just a kiln jar. You can use anything really, as long as the top covers it and stops any bugs and crap getting inside it. But any excess pressure can escape because this stuff is going to be pressurizing the bottle. Then you're absolutely fine. Kiln the jars because the rubber seal does actually let out pressure, which is great, but check with the manufacturer if you're going to use one of these that's not off-brand or any other kind of bottle. It's got to be able to release pressure. A lot of people, if you just had a jar like this, put a bit of linen cloth over the top, round with an elastic band, exactly the same job. Stops anything getting in, allows the air to get out. And what we're going to do is leave this for another 24-hour period and give it a chance to have a really good, solid rise. At this point, you're going to start really smelling that sour flavour, and that's what we're going for. The mere fact that there are bubbles shows that the yeast is actually activating and working away, but until you really smell a strong sour flavour, that's when we know it's ready. In my house, it's quite warm. That's why this is all actually going through pretty quickly. However, you might find various environments, different types of flour, different heat, different humidity. This is all going to happen at a different rate. You might find it happens in 3 days for you. You might find it happens in 2 weeks. It's not an issue however long it takes. If you're really struggling, it can be that there's perhaps another bacteria in here that's chivying to be the dominant bacteria. If you suspect that to be the case, yeast actually thrive in a slightly more acidic environment. So if you want to, you can put a little bit of grated apple, a little bit of lemon juice, only very small amounts, just to increase that acidity a little bit. It won't affect the end taste of the bread, but it will help your yeast battle out and become the winning dominant bacteria in your starter, which is what you want. And welcome back. 7 days later, I've been emptying half of this out, topping it back up with flour and water every day for the past 7 days. And now we've got this incredibly strong, fragrant, sour flavour, which is exactly what we're looking for. In this bowl, I have a standard bread mix, 62% hydration, 500 grams of flour, 310 grams of water, slug of olive oil and 10 grams of salt, literally ready to make some bread. All it needs is the active starter. So I'm going to take this out and put about 100 grams in. I'll give that a mix in a bit, and that's the loaf sorted. Once you've used a portion of your starter, the most important thing is to fill it straight back up again to keep it nice and healthy. Back in with some flour and a dribble of water. Give that a little mix, and there is our starter, fed and watered, ready to make another loaf of bread in about 4 or 5 hours. Alternatively, if you want to store this, give it a big feed, pop it in the fridge. It'll be good for about 2 or 3 weeks. Keep an eye on it. If a little bit of liquid starts to develop on top, it means it's getting pretty hungry. So give it another feed, back in the fridge. Again, discarding half. It's important when you're using your starter to always catch it when it's on the rise, which is when it's most active. The easiest way of telling that is as the starter rises up the side of the jar, it will have a dome top to it because it's gripping the edges of the glass as it pulls up. If it's got that dome top, it's still on the rise. When it's got the peak and starts to sink back, the sides of the starter cling to the sides of the glass and create this concave effect in the top, and that's when it's on the fall. So if you see the concave effect, it'll still work, but it won't work quite as well, but you want to be a nice bulbous top to your starter as it rises through that glass, in which case you will be with the best possible chance of making the best possible bread. When it's really bubbling away, the starter actually has quite a lot of gas caught within it. The easiest way to check whether it's on the rise and really plumped up with all that gas is take a nice big spoon, carefully drop it into a bowl or a glass of water, and if your starter floats, you're absolutely onto a winner. Don't be too disappointed if it sinks. If you're convinced your starter's doing really well anyway, don't worry. It simply means that when you scoop the starter out, you probably lost a lot of the air because you're a bit too forceful with it. Not an issue at all. Go and make your bread. If it doesn't work, maybe that's something to look at, but if it does work, great. And that is quite simply how you make a really easy starter from scratch with the natural wild yeasts in the flour to make a beautiful sourdough loaf. One point to mention is when you're giving this a good feed and you're discarding half the starter, don't just throw it away. One of the easiest things you can do is put a pan on a medium-high heat, bit of oil, drop this in, sizzle, a few seeds on top, flip it, and you've got yourself a beautiful start to breakfast sourdough pancake. And that is one of a billion ideas. Do some research, come up with some ideas of your own. Any questions, any problems, or any ideas you'd like to give to everyone, please do drop them in the box below. Please do like, subscribe, as always. And if you have any questions at all, or want to go over anything again, please do ask, as I'm more than happy to talk anyone through anything else. And I will hope to see you all in the next wonderful video from The Gourmet Pantry.